All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And I do want to apologize that there wasn't any content over the weekend and no streams. I was just exhausted. I was working on my daughter's playhouse on Saturday for about 8 hours. So by the time that I was done with that, hanging out with them, it was just, I fell asleep at like 9:30. And then, which is like super early for me. And then on Sunday, just kind of hanging out with the family, and then again, like, fell asleep early because I was just exhausted. So, fortunately, no content went out. I do want to make that apology to you guys because I do try to get you daily content. So, we're going to look at this video, and I had an idea of, I get asked a lot, like, how do I get a roster review, Phil? So, I'm going to talk about that, how you get one on my channel, and then I'm going to actually review my account as if I was asking for a roster review to give you advice on how to get more out of your reviews. So let's go ahead and first and foremost thank my channel members so much for their continued support. If you're interested in joining, link in the description down below. And if you are curious, these guys, when they are in chat on stream, they get priority when it comes to roster reviews. They're in that priority group along with donations. So that is something I throw out there, kind of getting into our video now. So with roster reviews, what I want to look at first is the two kinds of roster reviews that I would say players ask for, right? There's two kinds. So to start any roster review, you should give your past project or two, depending on what they were. The reason why you want to tell, whoever you're asking for, what you've done in the past is it gives them a glimpse into what you've been doing the past, couple months in Galaxy of Heroes. That you want to at least get them to the point of, hey, for this example, for my account, I just did Grand Inquisitor to Relic 7 to get ready for the Riva mission, and I got the Leviah buffed to 7-star, right? That I spent the resources to do that. So that would be how I would start, those two things. Right away, what that tells the reviewer is that you have what you've been working on, the caliber of it, and the resources that you've been expending into the game. That, this was Relic intensive and Kyrotech intensive. So then that first kind of review then, like I said, there was two kinds, kind of jumped a little, but, the first kind of review is like, what next? Hey, I farmed those two things. I'm not sure what to farm. So then you would ask, hey, should I go for X or should I go for Y, right? That you've got to kind of figure out what, you're asking the advice of, I'm not sure where to go from here. I'm at a cross in the road. Should I farm Jabba, Leia, whoever? And then I would go into your account and kind of figure out what I think is going to give you the most bang for your buck. Remember, whenever I look at rosters and I'm reviewing them, I'm not going to look at what Galactic Legend you can get the fastest or has the most fun with. I'm going to look at what's going to get you the most bang for your buck in the current state of the game. So that's the first kind of review. The second kind is after I finish this project, what should I do after that? And those reviews, what I will do, right? So that first you'll want to list what your project is. So if I was to, give my, hey Phil, your roster review, be hey, I finished Grand Inquisitor, got Leviathan. I'm now working on Leia and not sure what to farm next between, Rey and Jedi Knight Cal. But there's a piece of information that's very important. Are you going to have any stops along the way to getting Leia or to getting that current farm done that will impede your progress? So I'm going to go, when I get Riva into territory battles, I'm going to take her to Relic 7 immediately. And that's going to stop a lot of my Leia process at the time that I'm going to be, using resources and all this stuff to go into her. So that then gives the, again, the reviewer a little bit more insight into, what if you're like, oh, I'm going for Leia, but in the meantime, I'm going to be getting Leviathan. Leviathan's your farm. Leia's not even entering into the picture. What are the stops you're making along the way? And then, what do you need help deciding between Rey and Cal? So this is, again, my example. So when I read this, right, the first kind is, hey, Phil, I finished Leviathan, not sure what to go for. Or we're going to go with, the second one, because the first one's kind of easy to figure out, right? I'm just going to go in and start seeing what you need. The second way is a little bit more complex because what I'm first going to do, right, is I'm going to pop open your account. So I'm going to go in, right, and I'm entering your ally code, and this screen's going to pop up. So there's the information that's on here just really shows me your arena fleet ranking, and then GAC ranking can be helpful because I'll take a look at your GP. And GP is important because in the example of my own account, right, 9.4. But here's the big thing. I could do hard mode conquest based on how much fleet GP I have. That just based on my ship GP, I can do hard mode conquest. So the advice I can give somebody who has significantly more GP is far different than someone who doesn't, because if you don't have access to Proving Grounds, hard mode conquest, or can't get really far in conquest, the advice needs to get you to the point that you can start doing those things rather than, hey, you're doing it. Here's what's going to help you get those last few things and get a max crate or, a better box. So now, right, I've seen those things. I'm going to go into your inventory. Now, when I would go in, right, because this is my account, you're going to see like my favorites and stuff. But for other people, it's sorted by power. So this would be the first page that pops open. So now I can see, okay, this account has 6 Galactic Legends. They're missing Leia and they're missing Rey. All right, so that makes sense why they were deciding, what the current project is. All right, so I can see relic levels, right? Okay, so now the first thing I would notice is that they've got a Relic 8 Wampa, which, again, is normally a little bit wasteful. He is our king, but, we don't need Wampa at Relic 8. And then I see a Relic 7 Maul and Relic 7 Ben Solo. So Relic 7 Maul I'm okay with. The Ben Solo at Relic 7 doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, there's no context, right? I didn't provide context that I did this for platoons, but I would see that and ask the question. Keep coming down, right? I see all relic levels that make sense, right? Galactic Legend requirements, really good characters. And then as I keep going, I'm going to see another Relic 7 Boba Fett sign of Django and ask that question yet again. Why is he Relic 7? What are we doing there? And again, answer be platoons. But it's provided, that's the thing I'm looking at. Is like, are there wasted areas that you've kind of put your GP into that you shouldn't have? So then I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, let's see how close you are to GL Leia. So I'd look and see that Luke is done, R2 is done, Chupio is done, Leia, Captain Han, Lobot, and Admiral Akbar. All of them are done, right? You've got those Rex done. Awesome. Okay, let's keep going down here. Looks like Captain Rex. So I wouldn't be able to see, I'd just be able to see stars. I wouldn't be able to see this number down here. So I'd say, okay, Captain Rex is 6 stars and you've put gear on him. Makes sense. And then I would see a Drogon that's just, again, 3 stars. So there's nothing there for Drogon, which I would be expecting. So now let's go to Ewoks. Again, nothing crazy here. And then Nisa looks like she's 4 stars, so you've been doing a little bit of farming there. So right now, what I've seen so far, and then the last one I would look at, right, is I'd go to your Imperial Troopers. See, Scout Trooper has gear, but is only 3 stars. So right away, what I've seen is that you're invested into Leia. You've done the Relic 8s, the Relic 7s, you've done the Rebel characters, so now you're waiting on, I'd ask, like, why didn't you gear up your Ewoks yet? And if the answer is, well, I'm saving gear because I want to make sure I can gear Reva to Relic 7, and when I get Rex and or some of these other characters like Scout Trooper, I'd rather have their gear ready than other ones. That makes sense. So I would ask, how much gear do you have stuff saved? Are you in a position where you are saving gear? And so in that instance, what I would do, right, just as like a, hey, do you have stuff saved, is I'd be like, are you hoarding stuff then? And the answer should be yes. Like you could see, I've got plenty of signal data, relic materials to be able to complete this farm. I just need character shards. So now, right, I've given more context as I'm asking questions like, how much gear do you have? What situation are you in? So Leia, to me, looking at this account, I would say, yes, Leia makes sense. So then I would say, okay, you asked the question, because why I'm looking at Leia is that if I came in and was like, hey, I'm farming for Leia, and Commander Luke is Relic 3, and Chupio's Relic 5, and Akbar's gear 10, and that you didn't really invest any extra relic levels on these guys, you haven't made any progress on some of these characters, Leia might not make sense compared to something else that maybe you haven't done in your account. So I'd go ahead, okay, so let's go to your resistance. So here, right, I would say, okay, you've got every character 7 star that you need for Rey. So that's a good start, Rey, so this is just a gear farm at this point, gear and relics. And Zori is 6 stars. So you're even building the side character that you need for this farm. And I saw that you had a Ben Solo already. So Leia, Rey could make a lot of sense for this account. I think Leia, for what she's going to do for your account, probably a little bit smarter to get her. But Rey's a solid option then. I definitely like the Rey. So now let's take a look and see how you're doing for Cal then, because that'll be the real question. So only a 3-star Cal. And a 4-star Seer Junda. Okay, all right, so we're not really, maybe doing a little bit there, but not a lot. No progress made on Tarful. We're going to go over here to Saw Gerrera. No progress made there. And then let's go to Night Sisters. Marin. Okay, Marin's 5-star, and she's almost 6-star. Would be the, I'd put that in there. Yeah, Marin's almost 6-star. So then, now I've gotten all the information, right? I've seen that, hey, yes, Leia makes sense. They're debating between Resistance and Cal. So at this point, what I would say is, all right, what I would do is So you should be refreshing Rex and Nisa. I'd be refreshing these characters while you can, right? Refresh those characters, be farming their shards. That should be your shard priority. As soon as you're done with one of them, that energy, those resources go into Zori. Finish off Zori, right? Get Zori ready for that resistance team because I think you're going to want, that's a single one, that's an easy thing to do. So then I would definitely continue doing Seer first. I think that was a smart decision, farm Seer first, because you'll probably get Malakos in, 3 years, in certain number of conquests, I would assume, with this account. So you get your Malakos, you could have the Seer team ready to go with Malakos, or you could insert Malakos to your Lord Vader team. And then I would probably just go get Cal Kestis, because I think the only other thing that I saw that you were missing is like the Afra tunes. But even if Hondo and Sana go accelerated, in the time that you get both of them will be the same time that you would end up getting Cal, because he's an 8 energy node at a single drop and there are 2 8 energy nodes at a double drop. You're going to get them in the same time frame that you'd get Cal. So, in this example, Cal's going to get you a little bit more because of the territory battle stuff. And I think that as good as Afra is, she's kind of seen her time in the sun. So I definitely think Jedi Knight Cal would be the play here. I saw Zori. The only other thing I would look at is what Jedi are you going to use with Leia if you do? Like, so you have Old Ben, and you don't have Jolie, and you don't have Juhani. So I'd maybe think about gearing up Juhani at some point, because if Old Ben does get stolen by Leia, you're going to need somebody for Starkiller, and you may as well pick a character that is going to give you usage in territory wars as well. So that is something else to think about there, that you could really do really well with that. With that team. So I think when I'm looking at your account, man, I think this is pretty solid. Like you've got the right stuff going on. You're farming what I would recommend you to do for your GP. So, and I'd kind of end it there and see if there was any other questions. Now, other things that I will do during a roster review at times are I'll take a look at speed. And the way I check speed is that I'll skip all your GLs because they should be fast. I'm going to look at like your fastest character here. So my Echo's 373 speed. So I checked Echo 373. Now what I'm going to do is just scroll down to somebody and I'll pick, I don't know, let's go to Hermit Yoda here. So Hermit Yoda is 317 speed. So in a, grouping of characters here that's what? 5, 10, 15, 16 characters from, Echo down here to Hermit Yoda, I'm looking at a drop of 56 speed. So then what I'm going to do is go to your Moff Gideon and see how fast Gideon is. And Gideon's 364. And let's go to, say, Mara Jade here, 353. And then, okay, now Dash is 352. So what I'm trying to gauge is how quickly are you going from your fastest to second to third and then on the way down. Because what you don't want is to have your fastest character, like what I would say is, if your Echo is 373 and then your next fastest character is Grief Karga at 328, I'd probably recommend that you make Echo a little bit slower, because at 373, what is he actually doing for your account? Would it be more beneficial to have some of those other mods on somebody else and maybe run an Echo who's like 355-ish, right? Like, just slow him down a little bit and make somebody else faster to help your entire roster. Because when you front load a single character, it's one team. And so you have to ask yourself, how often is that 373 speed helping you? Now, in my case, that is helping me. And that I've got the mods on the rest of these characters that it makes sense. But that's another thing that I will look for on those speeds is just, hey, does it make sense? The last thing some people will ask me is, hey, can you look at mods? And so, yeah, I'll look at mods. I'll kind of see what I'm thinking. A lot of times when I look at mods, what I'll look for is, do you have the right concept? Because, you're not going to, if you just pop open a character I don't know, let's go to Coors Light Leia here. So if I was to click on her mods and say, hey, so you've got potency and protection, 17 speed set up here. Offense, okay, no potency, but defense is fine. Down here, okay, you've got offense, potency, and health. That's good. Potency, offense, health. That's another good one. Potency, no extra offense, but, okay. So I'm just looking to see, do you have the general idea, right? Are your mods good enough that yes, this makes sense. Like if I came on here and I saw like, protection and, defense and stuff, I'd be like, maybe we want to think about, modding her a little bit differently. Another example I would use here is like if I go to your Commander Luke and I see speed sets, I'm gonna freak out. Like you want to take advantage of that Chupio unique. So I try to look for some of those characters where the mods make a massive difference. If you mod your Grand Inquisitor for health or protection or offense or crit damage, like there's a case to be made for every single one of those in specific instances. But someone like Commander Luke, there's a generally accepted modding standard there. So again, I try to look for those characters who I want to be fast or need to have certain stats comparative to someone like Moff Gideon. Like Moff Gideon just needs speed. So as long as he's fast, I don't care what his mods are. Whereas like, Bosk or, Commander Tano, you do care what their mods are because they play a role in the way that you mod them. So anyway, guys, that was a longer, and that's a very long roster review, right? But I think it's a good idea to show you what's going on in my head because I'll do them a lot faster than what I did with my own account here because there's internal things that are going on. Like I will analyze this roster very quickly and see, yes, it makes sense. So I was kind of giving you the inner monologue of what I'm thinking. Whereas when I'm really looking at an account, I'll just go right in and I can start seeing stuff and I'm making mental notes of what's going on. So, I did want to give you guys kind of this input because a lot of people ask, like, how do you get them? So if you stayed till the end, this is how you get a roster review. I do them on live streams. Channel members and those who donate get priority. Otherwise, it's a first come, first serve basis. I don't know if I will continue to do it through the YouTube chat or if I'll create a special section of my Discord server, link down below, where you can go and sign up. I may start doing that to try and stay a little bit more organized because it has been hard to stay organized with the amount of chats I get. But that's the video, guys. Hopefully you found this helpful and that you appreciated kind of me taking a look at my own account the way I look at yours. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. May the force be with you. Cheers.